I don't know much about having a mortal enemy, unless you count my neighbour's cat, and I don't, because a cat can't be deliberately trying to undermine my self-confidence. Can it? Never mind. What I do know about having a mortal enemy is that you're not supposed to get together with them to do fun, casual, social stuff, spending time with your nemesis that could be better spent plotting their demise. And yet consider all these games where demonstrably deadly enemies somehow set aside their differences to engage in friendly activities instead of kicking each other's heads off. Mixed messages there. Look at these 7 sets of mortal enemies who also sometimes just hang out, and you tell us what's going on.
いいところね。
Extreme sports are generally characterised by high physical risk. In Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball, one assumes it's the risk of diving for a ball in a G-string and receiving a life-altering wedgie that qualifies it as extreme. Front and back. What we can't figure out is how the Dead or Alive Tournament Executive Committee convinced bitterest rivals like Ayane and Kasumi to face each other in a non-violent sporting contest. Was there a contractual obligation involved? Does Doatech have a lucrative sponsorship with a bikini wholesale vendor? Follow the money is what I'm saying. At any rate, in the main Dead or Alive and Ninja Gaiden series, Ayane and Kasumi are half-sisters with bags of animosity and the skills to kick each other's heads in. Yet here they can be found cheerfully batting a volleyball back and forth on the shores of Zack Island. The siblings can even buy each other gifts to smooth over their troubled relationship, haunted as it is by childhood trauma and vicious feuding. Yeah, that'll do it. Even unlikelier volleyball pals are Helena and Christie, one an opera singer, the other a villainous assassin hired to kill that opera singer. Well, you're not getting the job done like this, are you, Christie? That's to say nothing of how Helena is sworn to avenge her mother's death, and Christie, guess what, is the one who killed her mother. It's fine though, Helena won't find out until Dead or Alive 4, after which you have to assume volleyball is off the cards. Oh, except here's Dead or Alive Extreme 2, and they're still at it.
Are we ready?
I'll show you how it's done.
Well, when you love volleyball this much, I guess you gotta let stuff slide.
Make it make sense. Mario, the heroic plumber and saviour of the Mushroom Kingdom, keeps going go-karting with Bowser, the lizard monster who keeps kidnapping his girlfriend and trying to enslave the Mushroom Kingdom. And it's not just go-karting. They play golf together, and tennis, and probably, given all these activities, spend a couple of weeks together at each other's villas in the south of France. Sure, go-karting is a competitive sport, and you can argue that this means Mario and Bowser are still at odds with each other, but I don't know, it feels like if you stuck 2 hated enemies who were constantly trying to kill each other on the track together, there would be more casualties than just the odd banana peel spin-out or red shelling. How to account for this seeming bonhomie between these 2 bitter rivals? Well, according to Shigeru Miyamoto, who created both Mario and Bowser, so he should know, he views the Mario cast as a troupe of actors. In an interview with Game Informer, Miyamoto said, "If you're familiar with things like Popeye, you would oftentimes see this cast of characters that takes on different roles depending on the comic or cartoon. They might be a businessman in one cartoon or a pirate in another. I look at our characters in a similar way and feel they can take on different roles in different games," Miyamoto continued. So it seems that actually Mario and Bowser don't hate each other at all, they're just very good at pretending they do in the Mario games. They all do definitely hate Luigi in real life though, you can tell.
What's up? 3 strikes and you're dead, Kano.
I only need 2 strikes to gut you.
Know what? That was strike 3.
A new character for Mortal Kombat X, Cassie Cage, is the daughter of Sonya Blade and Johnny Cage, a perfect mix of Sonya's Special Forces training and Johnny's crotch punching. She's She's also a lot younger than the rest of the Mortal Kombat cast, and as such is barely ever off her phone, which is probably endlessly annoying for boomers like Sub-Zero.
Zero, let's talk.
You need weapons to talk.
Good point.
This youthful energy makes its way into Cassie's moveset as well, with her having a particular fondness for selfies, as we can see in her non-fatal Mortal Kombat 11 friendship finisher.
Finish. Cassie Cage wins. Flawless victory.
Cassie doesn't just use selfies for good, however. One of her fatalities in Mortal Kombat X, called Selfie, sees her smashing her opponent's jaw off and then buddying up to her stricken foe to get a nice pic for her social media platform of choice.
Fatality.
Which is horrible, obviously, but does give us a glimpse at Cassie's social media page, which is nothing if not illuminating. Among other revelations are the fact that ostensible good guy Cassie is a member of communities for the Black Dragon group of evil mercenaries and the Quan Chi-fronted Shinnok-worshipping bad-time cult, the Brotherhood of Shadow. Her friends list is the real eye-opener, however, as it shows us just who Cassie considers to be her friends. Judging by the sidebar, that list includes Goro, Quan Chi, Lizard Monster Reptile, and even her mother Sonya's arch-nemesis Kano, something Sonya is clearly unhappy about based on her comment. I don't know, Sonya, seems like the thing to focus on might be the fact that your daughter just smashed someone's jaw off and then posted a picture of it on social media. Priorities.
Drop the critters, Eggman! If you insist.
Whoa, that's harsh!
There has never been a greater threat to Sonic the Hedgehog than Dr. Eggman, not even the general public's total disinterest in the Sega Dreamcast. Which is why it's utterly buck wild that the Blue Blur would agree to take part in the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games when he knew full well that one of the other athletes he'd be competing directly against would be the mad scientist who has spent more time trying to kill him with giant spiked balls than he has actually doing science. Of course, this is only what we see in the game. Who knows what happens when these two are back in the Olympic Village after hours? Is it tense? Do they hang out? Is it weird that Eggman built a robot version of Sonic and brought it to the Olympic Games with him, and that Robot Sonic is also competing in events against Sonic? Seems kind of weird. What we have to assume is going on here is the long-standing noble tradition of the Olympic truce, which dates back to ancient Greece. This truce was announced during the Olympic Games in 776 BC to ensure that the host city-state of Elis was not attacked and that athletes and spectators were able to travel to the event confident that they would be safe throughout the period that the Games took place. So we have to assume that this entente cordiale between Eggman and Sonic is a temporary arrangement. I've got to say though, much respect to Sonic, he is handling this a lot better than I would if I had to play soccer against someone who'd once tried to stomp me to death in a giant mech suit. A true professional.
He's the leader of the bunch. You know him well. He's finally back to kick some tail. His coconut gun can fire in spurts. If he shoots ya, it's gonna hurt.
It used to be that Donkey Kong's arch-nemesis was Mario, on account of how Mario was always going to construction sites and foiling his kidnappings. When he started starring in his own platform games, however, Donkey Kong also got a new rival, King K. Rool, a regal crocodile and ruler of the Kremlings who debuted in Donkey Kong Country by stealing DK's beloved banana horde. Things went downhill from there, and by the time of Donkey Kong 64, K. Rool was now planning to blow up Kong Island with a blastomatic laser, which is something of an escalation from steel bananas, I've got to be honest.
Soon Donkey Kong and his pretty little island will be no more.
Anyway, Kong and K. Rool are hated enemies, I think it's fair to say, although those who managed to complete Donkey Kong 64 to 101% saw a special scene that sheds some doubt on that claim. To clarify, many Donkey Kong games allow you to find enough secrets and bonuses to complete the game to this mathematically impossible percentage, at which point you'll unlock a secret ending like the one in Donkey Kong Country, where Cranky Kong congratulates you on being nearly as good as Cranky Kong. In Donkey Kong 64, this ending takes the form of scenes from what look like auditions to be in Donkey Kong 64, because I guess they considered recasting Donkey Kong for the 64-bit era? Maybe Chris Pine. Dude's versatile. The shocking truth that these scenes lay bare, though, is the fact that DK and King K. Rool actually get on super well when they're not on camera, as it were, as this shot of them enjoying a game of patty cake together proves. Contrast this with the original Donkey Kong Country, in which supposed friends Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong spend a not insignificant portion of the ending beating each other's asses, and I think it's pretty obvious who DK would rather be spending his time with. But that's a single scene in an obscure ending, Ellen, I hear you cry. It's not like they live together and take naps in the same room and hang out together. To which I say, oh no? Then explain this Super Smash Bros. Ultimate trailer. Guarantee you this is somebody's OTP fanfiction pairing. I'd go and look, but, you know.
Not to flatter myself, but I think I know quite a lot about video games. I've played them all my life, I've been doing this job for a decade, and we've made hundreds of list videos about pretty much every video game that's ever existed, and yet I was completely, some would say blissfully unaware that there was a Banjo-Kazooie racing game called Banjo Pilot. That's partly because it was on the Game Boy Advance, partly because by all accounts it wasn't very good, and partly, it has to be assumed, because Nintendo tried to bury it due to it showing Banjo-Kazooie and their arch-enemy Gruntilda the Witch enjoying a fun time racing planes together. In the main game, Banjo-Kazooie, Gruntilda is of course the witch who has kidnapped Banjo's sister Tooty, whose beauty she plans to steal for her own nefarious purposes. And to be honest, she's not any better in the second game, where she is a living skeleton who literally murders beloved character Bottles the Mole within the first 5 minutes. So probably not someone you'd be up for spending a fun day racing planes with. And yet Gruntilda is one of the selectable characters in the game, alongside her Igor-like henchman Klungo, who is guilty of similar atrocities and should by rights be banned from all sporting events, let alone ones where he's in charge of a dangerous vehicle. And yet here Banjo and Kazooie are, apparently fine with it. Hope the paycheck from Nintendo was worth it, guys.
奴が気になるか。心配はいらぬ。殺したとて死ぬ玉ではあるまい。それでこそ我が求めた相手よ。
Asura's Wrath is a game about the world's angriest man angrily murdering a series of people who have angered him. High on that list is Asura's former mentor Augus, who is like Asura but beardier, with fewer arms and more giant swords.
一撃が我の血を沸かす。食らうに値する男と認めようぞ。アスラー!
Asura encounters Augus in the game after falling to Earth from space, after crushing a god to death with his own escape pod, which is a pretty neat encapsulation of the sort of mad that happens all the time in Asura's Wrath. When he lands on Earth, he finds that re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere has burned off all of his clothes, and he has landed in a hot spring where he is greeted by a similarly nude Augus. Ooh. However, instead of offering to fly to, I don't know, the moon and chop all of Asura's arms off, it seems Augus, Asura's hated enemy and one of the people responsible for framing Asura for the death of his emperor, kidnapping his daughter and fatally wounding his wife, just wants to hang out.
Relax, son. Enjoy every moment.
And so these two hated enemies just chill in a big hot tub for a bit, with drinks served by some sort of alien creature whose chests have minds of their own and make comedy boyoing sound effects if you look at them. I mean, obviously not human women. It's a mystery, I guess. Anyway, you spend, I will say, an unusual amount of time just chilling here in the hot springs, with Augus raising a glass to you from his little hot tub section over yonder, while you have splash fights and get blasted on wine before eventually Augus does remember why you're here and nudely punches you in the face. Before you both go and have a big arm-cutting-off fight on the moon. Which, I mean, at least I know where I stand with that. Thanks, Augus.
Hey, thanks so much for watching this video about mortal enemies who sometimes also hang out. If you want to watch a video from our mortal enemies, it's Outside Extra. And it's down here. Hey, how did she get in here? My mortal enemy, Ellen. What are you doing? I will duel right after I finish this and I get my fencing swords. There's a video from them, and the heroes of the piece, Outside Xbox, are up here. So check out both of these videos, and thanks for watching. John, fetch me my epee.
Okay.